it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And it is officially Vlogmas Day 2. We are on pause with our whole baking fundraiser stuff because right now I have to make my son a gluten-free gingerbread house and quickly. So the story goes like this. Basically, they're making gingerbread houses with their big buddies tomorrow. However, obviously, my son is celiac, and you can't actually find a whole lot of gingerbread decorating kits that are gluten-free, so I said that I would make my son a house. Now, this is just going to be decorated by children. I really didn't want to do something super fancy or be baking from scratch this late in the game, so I decided to just pick up some graham crackers that are gluten-free, and I'm just using one box, and I opened up the box, and honestly, there was a lot less in there than I thought there would be, but whatever. You work with what you have. And as a busy mom, I am in a hurry, so of course I'm using my favorite technique, which is just to use some caramelized sugar. And all I did there was put some granulated sugar on the stove, let it melt, really make sure that everything is nice and dissolved. I let my sugar get to a little bit of a dark amber color. That way I know that it's going to be liquidy enough when it comes off of the stove and remain liquidy for a little while. And then as soon as I place those graham cracker pieces in there and adhere things together, it's going to come together fairly quickly. And I am using some parchment paper underneath just so this doesn't stick to my counter and everything peels off really easily. I'm showing a lot of this in real time so you can see how quickly this actually comes together. You don't have to hold things up with cans. You don't have to wait for royal icing to dry. Now, of course, if you like the taste of royal icing, go with that, and it can still do the job fairly quickly, just not as instantaneously as this. I also do love that this technique is very allergy friendly. Of course, if you're using royal icing, there could be contents in there that you don't want to use, but really using sugar as the adhesive should be fairly safe for most. I also completely recognize that the end product of this undecorated doesn't look the most beautiful, but most of us will be decorating our gingerbread houses. Every time I've entered any sort of gingerbread making contest, I always use this technique, and I do find that the sugar does not tend to melt, especially where I live. Nothing usually happens to it, but maybe if you're in a really humid climate, that could happen. Just make sure to bring that caramel up to the hard crack stage so everything really adheres nicely and is less susceptible to moisture. In order to complete the roof, I did have to cut some of the graham crackers. Now, this was a fairly easy job, but I did get impatient. And as you see here, because I got impatient and I just tried to cut down instead of continuing to saw, it did take a piece off, but very easily. Just like with royal icing, you can reconnect that piece by dipping it into the caramel. With this gingerbread house, I honestly wasn't going for fancy, but I was going for symmetrical and even, so that's why you see me stacking those crackers on top of one another. So even if I made a mistake on the first one and it wasn't completely even, it will be even with the other side. I was working fairly quickly, but if you do find that your sugar is getting too hard and it's almost not even sticking or adhering to your gingerbread or your graham crackers, go ahead and place that back on the stove for just a little bit longer. Always, when you're working with sugar, go at a low heat because sugar can burn very quickly, and we don't want a really burnt taste. When putting the roof together, I like to make sure that everything is adhered together first and then place the roof on all together, because when you do it individually, I just find it takes a little bit more effort and it's not as well constructed. So that is why I do it that way. Also, you can see this part doesn't look as beautiful, but it's okay. Just get in there. Who cares? Like I said, you're going to be decorating this thing anyway, so it does not need to be perfect. However, it does need to be solid, so I am placing a little bit more extra caramel on the top. This thing is nearly indestructible and it will be able to stand up to a lot of decorating. So definitely try this out, especially if you're in a hurry and need to get this done in less than 5 minutes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily for Vlogmas, so be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!